Hello and welcome to part 2 of my personal gaming recap 2025. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you out there. In today's video, I want to rank all the games I played that released in 2025 and share my personal game of the year with you. But a little disclaimer before we get into the first game. If a game isn't on this list, it doesn't mean I think it's bad. It simply means I haven't played it yet. So, in last place, we have my biggest disappointment of the year, if not in recent years. And that is the newest Sega Football Manager that got me hyped after showing me the UI and the general graphics overhaul with the switch to Unity. On top of that, they skipped a year and developed their newest title longer than many titles in the past. But the end of the story is missing features like international management and a data hub, a more confusing UI and a lot of bugs. I personally encountered a bug that made my game freeze entirely when I tried to offer players without a club a trial. The end of the story are 45% positive reviews on Steam, a 2.6 user score on Metacritic, and my first refunded game ever on Steam. Next up we have a game that looked really interesting, especially because of its premise, and that is Forever Skies. A game where you alone, or with up to 3 friends, have to build an airship to get from place to place, find crafting materials and upgrade your ship. The reason why this game is so low is mainly because I'm not that much into simple crafting games, and the airship gimmick wasn't enough to keep me engaged long enough. Which doesn't count for Rematch, a multiplayer football game from the studio behind the fighting game Sifu. And while both games share a similar art style, besides that they couldn't be further apart in terms of gameplay. So because the developers don't really have any experience in terms of multiplayer or sports games, I wasn't really looking forward to it. But when I tried the game with a few friends, after getting used to the unconventional button layout to control your actions, I was pleasantly surprised how much fun we had together. But it is also true that with randoms this game is almost unplayable. And on top of that, I played it for like 2 weeks and then never again. Now for one of the bigger titles I was actually excited for in 2025, we have Battlefield 6. I really enjoyed the almost nostalgic feeling during the beta and was really looking forward to play the full release. And the first week was fantastic, the weapons felt responsive and the sound design and maps were very atmospheric. But after the honeymoon phase, it just really went downhill. People discovered exploits and bugs, the battle pass got introduced that you have to pay for in an €80 game, and the new maps didn't add anything special. So yeah, I now barely open the game anymore, even though it only has been a few months. A game that I had a better time with despite its monetization model is the console port of the free-to-play gacha game Wuthering Waves. Normally, this type of game loses me as soon as I am forced to grind or pay for anything, but in this case I could simply play through the story they update every few weeks, or some fun events, pull some characters with free currency, and that's it. On top of that, this game looks ridiculously good, and combat feels smooth and impacts feel heavy. So yeah, for a few fun hours every now and then, I think Wuthering Waves is one of the best free-to-play options out there. Another game that took me by surprise is the console port of the squad-based tactic shooter Ready or Not, where you either command a squad of SWAT officers or play co-op with up to 3 mates. And the game is really challenging, especially on higher difficulties and when you try to make a perfect run, which means arresting and saving everyone in the level. But like with Rematch, I would definitely recommend playing this with at least another person, because at least for me, that doubled the fun I had with Ready or Not. Entering the top 3, we have Ghost of Yotei, a game I really had high hopes for because I loved the first game in the series. Once again set in feudal Japan, but several hundred years later, you play as a young ronin named Atsu looking to avenge her family's death. And while the game has a few fun ideas, neither the gameplay nor the story hit the same way it did in Ghost of Tsushima. Which for me was because for one, the story and characters weren't really able to get me emotionally invested as much as Jin Sakai's story. And in the gameplay part, they changed my favorite part, the katana combat, to constantly changing weapons. Still, the game was really good and looked breathtakingly beautiful. It just was missing some small things for me. The silver medal in my game of the year list goes to another co-op experience. And that is the fantastic Split Fiction, the newest title from Hazelight Studios, the team behind It Takes Two. You play as 2 women that try to make it as writers that get thrown into a virtual version of their books' worlds by accident, and have to overcome several challenges together to find a way out. And through my entire playthrough I was amazed how much new ideas you can put into a game, as any new chapter felt completely new and fresh, most of the time adding a new challenge or gimmick. So if you haven't already, grab yourself a friend or your partner, sit down for a few evenings and I guarantee you will have a great time. And my personal game of the year is the game of the year according to the Game Awards, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The French RPG puts you in the shoes of the members of Expedition 33 trying to stop the so-called gommage that erases all people above a certain age shown on a pillar and drawn by the so-called paintress every year. And no matter if you look at the beautiful sceneries, the soundtrack I still listen to every now and then, the combat that mixes turn-based with quick-time events, the characters or the plot, this game is a kind of special that you only get to play a few of every decade. And for me, that puts it in the same category as games like Nier Automata or Persona 4. And I can't wait to see what Sandfall Interactive will do next. Now, first of all, thank you for watching. What was your favorite game of the year? Feel free to tell me in the comments down below. If you don't want to miss any future videos, maybe consider liking and subscribing. And I hope to see you next time.